Through the decades of its existence, Manx Radio has been able to bring listeners the knowledge of those whose passion was to research given subjects. That's why David Callister found himself underneath Quarterbridge, on the outskirts of Douglas, with the man who famously won bronze in cycling at the Cardiff Commonwealth Games, Stuart Slack.
Well, today we're under the bridge at Quarterbridge, which is probably as well known to people in the Isle of Man as any. How will it have got its name?
Well, it would obviously be named after one of the Quarterlands. As we're actually on the Onken side of the river, and just over the other side is the Braddon side, and the river is actually the boundary between Onken and Braddon, and the parishes were divided into treens, and one of the treens of Onken parish is actually called Douglas. It extends sort of more or less along the river up as far as Bray Hill, up probably to the grandstand, and then down across to the sea. And the treens were divided into, this particular one's into three quarterlands. There's Ballaquail, Ballabrewy, Ballacameen. Well, this isn't the original bridge. The original bridge was actually further downstream, about 50 yards.
Really?
I suppose, if we go right back, I found a document in the museum, 1701, where it was a dispute between Robert Fletcher, who gave his name to Balla Fletcher Estate, which is in Braddon, which you know well, because you used to live out there, didn't you?
Yeah.
Balla Fletcher on one side, and John Kirgy, which sort of became Curfey later on, who was the owner of Ballaquail. And there was a dispute, obviously it was a bit more boggy down here in those days, and there was a dispute as to actually where the river ran. And in the sort of the setting quest met to decide, and they pointed out that one of the points of the boundary was the rock where the bridge stood. Now, whether the bridge still stood there then, or whether there'd been an earlier bridge or not, I don't know.
No.
But then we go on a little bit until 1739, when the Bridge Act came into being, and bridges were sort of really brought up to date. And it listed 5 bridges that were to be sort of brought up to date, and properly built. And there was one at Ramsey, Solby Bridge, the one at Balla, just past St John's, the one at Glenfaber, and the one down by by Mullinacunya, on the old Castletown Road. But the Quarterbridge was never mentioned, so I think we can assume that at that point there was already a bridge here.
Yes.
See?